Welcome to the Church Answers podcast. My name is Thom Rainer. My co-laborer on this podcast, Jess Rainer, my son, is on vacation. It sounds like I've been saying that for quite a while. I don't know why he gets so much vacation and I don't, but that's the reality of life. That's the reality of parenting. Tim Cool would know that very well because he is the founder of a company that we have known for a long time, Smart Church Solutions. And Tim, first of all, let me just welcome you to the Church Answers podcast.
Thank you, Thom. It's great to be with you, and I'm sorry your kids have all abandoned you this week.
Your kids are probably a little more faithful to their dad on this case. Sam, I know you know Sam well. Sam is in Wisconsin speaking, and Jess is on vacation, and who knows where Art is. He's our middle child. We just cannot keep up with him.
Yeah, I know where Lee is. I am not sure where the two girls are.
Oh, okay. Hey, by the way, I didn't have any girls as children, and I've got four of my 11 grandkids are girls, and they are the best in the world. I just missed out by not having girls.
Yeah, we've got two girls, and we have our first granddaughter.
Oh, right.
So we're joining the Thom Rainer Club here of grandchildren.
Wow. It's a fun club to be in. It's a great time to be alive.
Yep.
Well, I want to give this introduction of Tim formally. You hear Tim and I bantering about. Tim is the founder and CEO of Smart Church Solutions, the developer of eSPACE software platform, includes event management, work order management, lifecycle calculator, Internet of Things integrations, and other church facility management consulting services. And here's the bottom line that I'll just say about Tim. Anytime we've needed Tim to help us with our clients go and help a church with their facilities, there's no other person we call, no other person that we would recommend, no other organization that we would recommend other than Smart Church Solutions. So to all of our listeners on your favorite podcasting app, and to all of you who are watching on YouTube, just know that this is where you need to go if you have church facility questions like planning, assessments, life cycle planning, facility management. And we're going to get into that in just a moment. Before we do, let me thank our sponsor, Cheney and Associates. Cheney and Associates is the accounting firm for the church. Steve Cheney, our friend in California, has been with us for several years now as the sponsor of this podcast, and he has we just love watching the Church Answers family move over and use him for bookkeeping and accounting. So if you really want to get some clear financial insights, if you want to get someone who does nothing but churches, he serves over 1,100 churches. That's all they do. Go to Cheney and Associates, or you can go to CheneyAssociates.com, and you can look them up there. If you put CheneyAssociates.com/Church Answers, they'll know that we sent you. All right, Tim. So here's one of the things I want to talk about before we just get into this whole thing of facility management. I love what you're doing. I've been watching from not too far, but I've been watching eSPACE University. Tell us, give us the background of that and what's going on there.
Yeah, so we just rolled out what we're calling eSPACE University, and it's not a way to promote the software, although we obviously encourage people to use the software. But what we have found, Thom, and you and I have talked about this in the past, is churches don't do a really good job on taking care of their buildings.
No, they do a lousy job of taking care of their building.
Yeah. And as I've shared before, we don't think of it as facility management as much as facility stewardship.
Good word.
And stewardship is taking care of somebody else's stuff. And so we're taking care of God's stuff.
Right.
You would think we would want to take that a little bit more seriously. And so what we have found, and we've got this handy dandy little cube here that has our core values and everything on it.
Yeah.
And our mission vision statement says, we are going to honor God while equipping all churches to effectively steward their facilities. Now,
Love it.
That didn't say we're going to sell all churches to buy our software.
Right.
We're going to equip them. And so this educational component is another way for us to equip churches that many times just don't know what to do because they're used to taking care of their home, but not a complex commercial piece of real estate.
Well, I tell you what's happened, Tim. You and I go way back, and I'm trying to think of what years it was. I know it's been well over a decade, and we go way back. And I was telling people to, hey, church leaders, go to Smart Church Solutions, get work with them now instead of later, because later is going to be very late, and I'm not going to say it's going to be too late, but it's going to be very late, and you're going to have all this maintenance that's been deferred, and you're going to have this big bill coming due. Work with them so that does not happen. So I'm putting this plug in right now. Work with Smart Church Solutions now. The two best times were 10 years ago and today to work on this issue, because Tim, it used to be the number one reason for closure that we would see anyway was an abject attendance decline. That's a close second right now, is they cannot afford to keep the facilities going. And so they close the doors because it's just too expensive. So
Yeah.
I really want people to just get in line to do this. Hey, before we go to some other issues about church facilities, talk to us a little bit more about eSpace University courses, who should take it. Um, Talk even about the certification in facility stewardship. Let me just let you have a stream of consciousness on some of these things.
Yeah. So um, if you notice, we're not calling this is a facility manager's course. This is facility stewardship courses, because we know that from a church of 50 people to a church of 50,000 people, the facility managers, the facility stewards, is everybody in the congregation.
Mm-hmm.
In the same way, I believe that everybody is a minister of the gospel, even though you may have a pastor that is the paid professional that preaches on Sunday.
Right.
And so, how do we train, regardless if you're the pastor of a small to medium sized church, or an executive pastor, a business administrator, operations pastor, or maybe you're just the head of trustees at a church and you don't have any paid staff to do this, but you're looking for how do we better steward what God has entrusted to us. So we've put together a number of courses. We've got a free course that's an intro to facility stewardship. It's about a 1 hour course. It's a free course. Everyone should take it. Just gives you a great overview.
Okay.
Then
We'll put a link to that in there too.
great. And then we've got our a 10-hour course. This is a paid course on church facility stewardship best practices and principles. And then in the next couple of months, we're going to have a couple of new courses on preventive maintenance, as well as custodial and cleaning standards. We're moving from the theoretical, the conceptual, the philosophy of facility stewardship down to some really practical nuts and bolts kind of things. And then probably by the end of the year, we'll have a couple more on capital planning and budgeting for your facility, as well as HVAC systems, how to maintain them. And then a thing that we're really passionate about is how do facility staff effectively communicate with those across ministerial lines and above and below them.
On the whole issue of facilities.
Yes. You know, how many times, I can't tell you, Tom, how many times we hear, well, the people above me, they won't approve that. They won't approve. Well, how are you communicating it with them? Do they understand that if you don't replace that air conditioning unit in the next 5 years, that you might not be able to use your worship center in Phoenix in the middle of August for a month and a half because the air conditioning system isn't working?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How are you communicating with them in such a way that they see not just a, quote, ask for money, but what's the why behind it? Going back to the Apostle Paul, going back to the so that. How are you communicating the so that, which is Paul was just an expert at that in the New Testament, because he always tied back any principle he gave to the early church, a so that. And so when you're communicating as a facility staff to your executive pastor or the finance committee, how do you give them a why and a so that, so they can relate it back to, for instance, you mentioned deferred maintenance, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
We have now assessed, I think, close to 30 million square feet of church facilities.
Wow.
And of all the churches that we've assessed that had deferred maintenance, that's 100% of them. They average between $25 and $40 per square foot in deferred maintenance.
Oh my gosh, it used to be purchase prices.
Yeah, I mean, just think about it. If you've got a 100,000 square foot building, you've got 2.5 to $4 million of deferred maintenance, and you probably don't even know it. And
Right.
so, how do you get started? How do you get caught up? So we're trying to shine the light on this and give people an educational track that will allow them to understand the basics. You're not going to solve it overnight. You don't move the Titanic all at one time. Hopefully, don't throw the
That
deck chairs or the pews.
that metaphor may be very apt in some of these situations with the facility issues that they have.
You and I have seen plenty of churches pre, during, and post COVID,
Yes.
and COVID was a runway to escalating those closures because they could no longer rent the buildings out, and you just can't afford to pay the rent or pay
That
the mortgage on it, pay the
that's
utilities.
that's a great point. Who should become certified in a church? Tell me who that person is.
So the, per, the person that we would strongly recommend that would get certified is whoever has been giving the chief bottle washer over facilities.
Okay.
So that might be your facility manager, or that might be your lead facility maintenance person, or it might be your lead custodian. But the reason we're offering multiple courses is you may want all your custodial team to take our course on cleaning, but they don't need to take the courses on how to manage a budget because that's not down there.
Sure.
And so we're trying to do this. So there's organizations that do a great job on training the upper echelon of facility managers. But
Yes.
we're trying to give practical type things for the everyday church that just doesn't have someone that's working 40, 50 hours a week doing nothing but managing a facility.
So here I am. I'm thinking practically right now. I don't know if you know this, but about 8 or 10 years ago, I stopped speaking on weekends in churches. I just wanted to be a church member, and so I have had the great joy of sitting under my youngest son, Jess Rayner's preaching. Sometimes I go to Florida and I hear the oldest son, Sam Rayner, preach, but most of the time it's Jess Rayner. Church he started, church running about 220, 230 in that range. And I am immediately thinking about the person in that church that is one of the, he calls them a director, those who have responsibilities of some major area. And for him, for this person, it's the facility. And right now I'm thinking, I would just want to write a check for that guy to come get certified with you because he's a volunteer, but boy, is he an important volunteer because you know what they did? That's rhetorical. They purchased an industrial warehouse and built it out. And so, you know all the issues that are involved there.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, do they need some, whether it's a traditional building or a warehouse like they're in, that's really when you need some, all of cases need facility help.
Yeah, there are significant nuances to a church facility, regardless if it's a steeple or a metal warehouse. Okay, there are nuances because of how a church uses their facility during the week.
Mm-hmm.
So there are nuances there. But when you boil it down, how do you take care of a roof? How do you take care of HVAC systems? That's fairly universal,
That's true.
and and yet most churches that have good-hearted volunteers that sit in these roles, they're used to taking care of a home. And while the church is the house of God, it ain't no house.
Yeah, right about that.
It is a commercial complex structure that requires certain things. There are better ways to clean your building than getting a bottle of bleach and a string mop. Those are two of the least efficient ways to clean your building. And so, what are the better ways? Because what if you increase efficiency? What do? You save time or you increase output, one or the other. And so,
Both are
let's be
desperately
efficient.
needed. I love it. I love it. Hey, before I move on, let me just say a word about Upward Sports. Here's what I love. I began talking about, well, I began my conversation with Tim of Smart Church Solutions, who's a longtime ministry partner with us. Then I went into Cheney, and Cheney's a longtime ministry partner with us in the area of bookkeeping and accounting. And now one of our outreach partners, Upward Sports. Uh, been their tenure with us is growing. I just want to mention one of their latest sports, and it's the most popular sport in America right now, growing. They got pickleball, And if Jess were here, he would be doing this middle spot, and I'd be going pickleball, pickleball, because I like to say it, and it irritates him both. But they have pickleball, and this means that any church, use your parking lot, whatever, and create a pickleball court. And while they have this sets available, they got a few left pickleball net sets. They're going to give away 2 of those, uh, but they got a few left. So go on and contact them as soon as possible. Hey, you can learn more about this at upward.org/church answers. We love the folks at Upward. We're seeing so much ministry success as people go into the community through the ministry of sports. Now, you talk about success and you talk about effectiveness, and Smart Solutions is just right at the top of that. I mean, Tim Cool and his team. Tim, how did you get in this area of ministry business?
I spent the first 25 years of my adult career. I'm not sure I'm an adult, but my kids don't think I am. Building church facilities. So I physically was general contracting church facilities coast to coast. And I saw churches who had built a building 3, 4, 5 years. I'd go back in and it looked like a 10 to 15-year-old building because they weren't caring for it. And when you look at the cost of owning a building, not the cost of building one, the cost of building a building is pretty easy to determine. But the cost of owning a building over a 40-year period of time, Thom, you will spend 70 to 80% of your budget in operating the building. That total cost of ownership, 70 to 80% of it is in the operational side of it, not the cost of building it.
And that money, if not used effectively, is not used in a way of good stewardship. That money takes away from ministry. That money takes away from personnel. That money takes away from so many other things. And if they would just I'm telling you, those churches that didn't contact you 10 years ago, they're saying, I wish we could contact Smart Church Solutions right now. And remember what I just said, the best time is 10 years ago. If you can't do that, the best time is today. And there is no such thing when you start working with Smart Church Solutions. There's no such thing as an expense. It is an investment that will save you over the long haul. So make certain that you check on that. How about size of church? Right now, 375,000 Protestant churches. The median has kind of stabled out in worship attendance size, 60 to 65. I thought it'd go a little bit lower, but it's in that range. Talk to me about a small church and that small church saying, can I really not only afford this, but should I do it? Because we're just, for those of you who are listening on a podcast app, I just did air quotes. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, you saw me do this. We're just a small church. What do you say to them, Tim?
Yeah. So the question is, did God give you 1 talent, 3 talents, or 10 talents?
Mm-hmm.
And what are you doing with those talents? Are you taking that, quote, small talent you're building and burying it, or forgetting about it, or ignoring it? Or are you doing something so that the next generation can also use that building for ministry and for worship and evangelism and fellowship and community? If we're so myopic that we only think in terms of we're small and we're worried about the here and now, then we're really not kingdom minded.
Right.
We're only thinking about ourselves and in the moment. And whether you have a congregation of 65 people and you've got a 7, 8, 9,000 square foot building, I assure you it's probably still bigger than anybody's home in your congregation.
I would think so.
Are you prepared to know how to care for it and take care of it? And yeah, you're not going to immediately solve all the problems by taking one of these courses, but if you can start to gradually grow yourself into it, it becomes a cultural thing. I like to refer to it as it's the ministry of facilities. It is not facility management. It is a ministry of facilities, because how many of those 375,000 churches, Thom, could function without a building?
Not very many of those 375.
Yeah. Now, there's obviously the home church movement, and there's different.
Not many of them.
Yep. And so in the North American church, the church of 2025, we rely on some kind of a physical structure in order to conduct what we call church. If that building fails us, or we can no longer afford the bills on it, or the deterioration is so bad that you can't use part of it, then are you still going to be able to do the same ministry that you had in the past?
Mm. Tim, Church Answers did a consultation, I'm going to say 20 years ago. My years I know are a little off. And it was it was a large church running, maybe small mega church, 2,200, 2,400 at the time we did the consultation. When they called us back 10 years after that, the church was probably below 1,000. It was now post COVID and it had been cut in half, or even worse than that. Let me tell you one of the saddest things I saw. One of the saddest things I saw was yellow tape put there by the county that said you cannot enter these buildings. They had deteriorated so much in this facility that they were required to yellow tape off this area. And that sounds like an extreme example, but Tim, if we're not taking care of our facilities, it happens.
It does. And you asked early on, Thom, why even offer this kind of training, if you will. So think about this. How many churches do childcare without doing a background check on people and without doing some kind of training for them? Or even if you have a security team. I know you served in Jess's parking lot team.
Oh, you're listening to me.
I do. My guess is there was some level of initial training to say, hey, here's your pretty orange vest, and let's have them park in this direction, and let's have them exit in this way. You think about the music ministry. They practice every week. They rehearse. They're trained. And yet we think that for facilities, managing the largest physical asset of every local church, if you own the building, it is the largest physical asset, and it's generally the second or third largest budget line item. We don't need to train our people. It is just totally over my head.
I totally get it. And one of these days, I want to do something, and it would have to include smart church solutions. I want to do something on things I wish churches were investing in now that they're not. And I would just simply say right near the top and not near the top would be our facilities, the stewardship of our facilities. Hey, Tim, before we go, I want you, don't name the church, and it could even be a mix of several churches. I just want to hear a success story when Smart Church Solution goes into a church and what is happening. Again, you may mix up some churches in there, just do anything you want to, but I want to hear what a success story looks like.
So a success story for us, and there's a couple that I'm going to blend in together here, as you said, where we've come in and we have consulted with them, and we've given them a reality check of what the condition of their building is. And they call us back 6, 9, 12 months later and say, hey, by the way, we have now knocked these 15 things off of that list. And by the way, we now have a capital reserve fund that's growing every year. So we will be prepared to do X, Y, and Z. We had a church a couple of years ago call me and say, hey, just wanted you to know that 6, 7 years ago, we did not have a capital reserve account. And we started it after we heard you speak. And now we had to replace a boiler, and we had the money in the bank that we didn't have to go to the congregation and beg, borrow, and steal in order to replace the boiler. And we did it all in 1 week because we had the money to do it.
Oh, that is a great story. Man, I could talk to you for a long time, Tim. Your ministry is desperately needed. Churches across the world, particularly churches in the United States. So thank you for your willingness to come on this podcast and talk to our listeners and to our viewers about facilities in such a way that very few people know how important this is. And just for you to get that in front of the folks is just really important to us. So thank you, my friend, for being here.
Thank you, Thom. And please tell your boys that they missed out.
I'll tell them. Well, thank you again for being a part of the Church Answers podcast. And my name is Thom Rainer. I am not Jess Rainer, as Tim just said. He's on vacation again. And so I'm doing this solo. I would have loved for Tim and Jess to have a conversation, but that is not happening this time. Remember our sponsor, Cheney and Associates, the accounting firm for the church, over 1,100 churches they serve. I bet that number needs to be updated. I'll talk to Steve Cheney in the near future and say, hey, where are y'all right now? Because they're constantly growing. That's all they do is accounting for the church. Hey, we've got the links to some of the things you've heard about Smart Church Solutions. Just hook up right there and give them a call. I tell you what, if you have not done something like this, you're already behind, but get in and do it. Thank you, as always, to our listeners, our viewers. You have been a part of the Church Answers podcast. We appreciate you. We thank you, and we'll see you later.